All right, the time has arrived. The 2023 World Baseball Classic is about to begin, and it all gets started at Taichung Intercontinental Stadium in Taiwan. 5 teams are there: Taiwan, Netherlands, Cuba, Italy, and Panama. The 5-team round-robin runs from Wednesday, March 8th to Sunday, March 12th. The first pool to start and the first one to finish. Schedule looks like this: Wednesday, Cuba versus Netherlands and Panama versus Taiwan. Thursday, Panama versus Netherlands and Italy versus Cuba. Friday, Cuba versus Panama and Italy versus Taiwan. Saturday, Panama versus Italy and Netherlands versus Taiwan. And on Sunday, Taiwan versus Cuba and Netherlands versus Italy. Taiwan is hosting the opening round for the second time. Last time was in 2013 at the same stadium, when they won 2 out of 3 games and advanced to the second round. The only time they've ever done that. Netherlands is coming off 2 consecutive 4th-place finishes. Last time in 2017, they were so close to reaching the championship game. They lost in the semis by 1 run in extra innings. Cuba was the WBC runner-up at the first edition back in 2006. They haven't been able to get back to the championship game, but they have never failed to reach the second round. Italy had its best showing in 2013 when they advanced to the second round. Almost did it again in 2017, but lost in a tiebreaker match. Panama is back in the WBC after a long absence. They took part in the 2006 and 2009 WBCs, but did not qualify in 2013 and 2017. So this pool is really competitive. It started with 4 teams that have reached the second round and passed WBCs. Then they got the 1 team from the qualifiers that's been to the WBC before. Every team has active Major League players, but not a roster full of them. Anyone can win it. But it feels weak to keep saying that. We know that at the end of the week, only 2 of those teams will get to move on to the second round. The other 3 will be done. And out of those 3, 1 will finish at the bottom and have to play in the qualifiers to try and make it back to the next WBC in 2026. So today, let me take my best shot at predicting how this field will turn out. I won't talk too much about individual players in detail. I just finished doing WBC team previews for all 20 teams, where I introduce all 30 players on each team's roster. Link in the description for the 5 teams in Pool A, if you haven't seen those yet. First of all, which teams have got the best pitching? They've all got good pitching, but none of them have great pitching. The team with the best pitching in this pool is Cuba. They've got 2 good Major League relievers in Roenis Elias and Ronald Bolaños. Both of them were previously starting pitchers. Yariel Rodriguez has been named as their starter for their first game against the Netherlands. He was a good starting pitcher in NPB up until last year when they moved him to the bullpen, where he's been fantastic. They've also got 3 starting pitchers from the Mexican League. That's a lot of good options for starting pitchers. Then in the bullpen they have 3 NPB relievers: Frank Alvarez, Levan Moanello, and Rydel Martinez. Season ERA for those 3, 3.38, 1.03, and 0.75 respectively last year. No one in Pool A comes close to matching that bullpen. Italy, I would say, has the next best pitching. They have 1 good Major League starting pitcher in Andre Palante, a couple pitchers with recent Major League experience in Harvey and Gaviglio, and a good starting pitcher from the Mexican League. In the bullpen, a couple Major League relievers and some good AAA relievers. Then you have Taiwan. Hard to compare because most of Taiwan's pitchers are from the CPBL, not MLB or the Major League system, though some do have past experience in the Major League system, like Wei Chung Wang and Chi Wei Hu. But even with those guys, it's hard to compare because they were Major League relievers, then became CPBL starters. But I would say Taiwan falls right in the middle, 3rd out of the 5 teams when it comes to pitching. Netherlands, they'll be using Sharon Martins and Jair Jurgens in their rotation, 2 guys who've been out of the Major League system for nearly a decade. Now they just pitch in the Dutch League. The other starting pitchers on their roster are Dutch League pitchers too. The bullpen's got Pedro Strop. He was good in MLB, but not lately, and didn't play last year. Kenley Jansen has said he'll only play if the team makes it to the final round. The rest of their bullpen comes from the minors or the Dutch League, and they don't look too impressive. Last is Panama. Jaime Barria is a good reliever in MLB and was a starter in the past. Humberto Mejia has recent experience at the Major League level. Andy Otero, a good AAA pitcher. Harold Arauz, a former AAA pitcher. Not a bad rotation. I would rank the rotation ahead of the Netherlands for sure. But the bullpen is the worst. They've got 2 Major League relievers in Javi Guerra and Justin Lawrence. Both had ERA over 5 last year. The rest of their bullpen is mostly guys coming off bad years in the minors. Some of them had bad years at the lower levels of the minors. It really would have helped to have Paulo Orlando in the rotation, but he withdrew a few weeks ago. Now for the hitting, and for that, Netherlands is at the top. Major League hitters like Bogarts, Profar, Scope, Simmons, and Gregorius. True, the last 3 are all coming off bad seasons, but they won't be facing great pitching in this pool. Any Major League hitter, even a struggling hitter, should be able to hit the ball in this pool. There's also Vladimir Valentin, a guy who once hit 60 home runs in a single NPB season. That was 10 years ago, and this tournament will be his farewell. Not the hitter he was, but he can still be a dangerous hitter. Cuba's got Major League hitters Luis Robert, Yoan Moncada, and Andy Ibanez. NPB hitters Yuribel Gracial, Alfredo Despine, and Ariel Martinez. Of course, all those hitters played in the Cuban League before going to MLB or NPB. And Cuba's roster has plenty of hitters who've never played outside of Cuba. One of them might really come through. We may find out their best hitter is someone we've never heard of. Italy's got a Major League infield with Nicky Lopez, David Fletcher, Vinny Pasquantino, and Miles Mastrobuoni. And then a lot of good AAA hitters, especially outfielder Sal Frelick. He'll be at the Major League level before long. Taiwan, again hard to compare CPBL hitters to those from the Major League system, but the other teams are bringing several Major League hitters. Taiwan only has one, Yu Chung. Then they've got two NPB hitters. Nianting Wu batted .227 last year, and Po Rong Wang spent most of last year in the Japanese minors. And last is Panama again. Two Major League hitters, Christian Bethancourt and Jonathan Arauz. Then looking through their hitters, you see a lot who've been out of the Major League system for years, some for over a decade. Seeing that I have Panama last in both hitting and pitching, you can rightly assume I'm picking them for last in this pool. That's not to say they're a bad team. They could still win this pool if everything goes right for them. But looking at what they've got, I have to say they are the number 5 team here. And because Cuba is number 1 in pitching and number 2 in hitting, you probably guessed that I'm picking them to win this pool. That's right, I think Cuba's got the best team here. They're starting Rodriguez against the Netherlands for their first game. That is a good choice. Netherlands have the best hitting, but Rodriguez can shut them down for 4 innings. Their NPB relievers come in and shut them down in succession. Meanwhile, the Cuban hitters will have no problem scoring off the Netherlands pitchers. Not a whole lot, but enough to get the win. Then, who's second, the other team to advance? Italy's got a good balance of hitting and pitching. Taiwan's playing at home, where they're always tough. But I've got to go with the Netherlands here. Pitching won't be too good, but it won't be disastrous either. They'll give up some runs, but it won't get out of control. And they'll win their games at the plate. The only team with pitching good enough to shut down the Dutch hitting is Cuba. The rest of the teams are going to have a rough time pitching against them. That leaves Italy and Taiwan. I had Italy 1 spot ahead of Taiwan for both hitting and pitching. But that doesn't matter. Taiwan will finish ahead of Italy. When they're playing at home, they can still win despite being the less talented team. In fact, it's tempting to pick Taiwan to advance out of this pool. It's hard to imagine them losing 2 out of 4 times at home. But I've got to go with Cuba and Netherlands here. So my prediction for Pool A: number 5, Panama, number 4, Italy, number 3, Taiwan, number 2, Netherlands, and number 1, Cuba. Cuba and Netherlands move on to the second round. Panama has to play in the qualifiers again next time. And I don't expect it to be Cuba 5-0, Netherlands 4-1, etc. Every team gets at least 1 win, and there will be a messy 3-way tie somewhere in there. But that's just what I think. Let us know what you think down in the comments. That's all for this one, and until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.